Keith, if an enterprise buyer was listening to this and they were thinking, this is the sort of thing that I wish that I could do, what kind of advice would you give them about approaching unstructured data, about unlocking data from the incredible data sets that they have? How would you help these clients to adjust to this new AI world?
Well, I think the main thing to keep in mind with this is you have to look at data as being this resource, this almost untapped resource. You need to have the software and really also I would say the expertise on how to manage all this, how to go in through. And again, as Vikas was saying, make sure that you can understand not only what data you have, how it should be classified, how it should be set up to have proper guardrails so the right information at the right time is made available. And of course, most importantly, making sure that the unstructured data that you're capturing really does, it is really, you're casting a wide net to capture all of that institutional knowledge process, and it could be, you know, individual, assessments from that are captured in things like emails, things that are not necessarily working their way into client records, making sure you're able to capture all of that data, you know, make sure it's classified properly and essentially made available for use where it is most appropriate across all of the entire organization. I think that's really key to making sure that you're able to get the most out of AI because ultimately AI is never going to really deliver on its promises unless it has that strong foundation of being able to get that right data at the right time for the right scenario.
And I would like to double click on the right data at the right time in the right scenario because too often our first instinct is to say information management for AI could mean that I'm going to consolidate all my information. And we do get requests sometimes from our clients as the first exploration question. Hey, can we export the data that we have in System X and so that it's in this data lake that our AI can use as a context engine? And we advise our clients and our partners by doing so, we're actually losing all the meaning in the content, right? Is this information safe to be viewed by everybody? It could be sensitive HR information, it could be sensitive policy information. What are the related data sets that this business process actually relies on? And those pieces of information, that metadata that is both executed and produced when you're using the application, that doesn't exist as a system of record that you can simply export into a giant data lake. So that's why it's important to understand that you need to build and employ the context aware solutions that are acting on the business processes where they are executing as opposed to exporting data someplace else where you have a giant data set but no meaning behind it.
I think that one of the things you said earlier in the conversation, Wakas, really brings it home for me. Bring the AI to the data instead of bringing the data to the AI. I think
Correct.
that's absolutely right because ultimately, these applications are supposed to be helpful. They're supposed to be useful. It's not supposed to transform everything under the hood. It's supposed to transform value. It's supposed to transform everything on the client side, on the employee side. And I think that in order to do that, you have to approach it the way that you've discussed. And I think that insight comes from a long history of experience with how enterprises really collect data, how they really organize it, and how they really wish that they could use it.